Sutra. The Buddha asks us bhikshus to speak. I was the first to understand, and the first Kaman certified me and named me Anatta. His wonderful sound was both secret and all-pervasive. It was through sound that I became an arhat. Commentary. The Buddha asks us bhikshus to speak. Buddha, you have now asked all the bhikshus how they attained perfect penetration. I was the first to understand, and the first Kaman certified me and named me Yanata. I was the first to become enlightened and obtain liberation. His wonderful sound was both secret and all-pervasive. I heard the Buddha's subtle, wonderful sound, and it tallied with my self-nature. It was both intimate and perfectly pervading. It fused perfectly with my self-nature. It was strong sound that I became an arhat. I cultivated through sound and became enlightened. Kwanyin Bodhisattva cultivated the perfect penetration of the ear organ. After the 25 sages each discussed their perfect penetration, Manjushri Bodhisattva selects the ear as the best sense organ for Ananda to use to obtain perfect penetration. He says, cultivation of the ear organ is the most appropriate Dharma. Sutra. The Buddha asked about perfect penetration. As I have been certified to it, sound is the superior means. Commentary. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. The Buddha asks which of the 18 realms was the one through which I obtained perfect penetration. As I have been certified to it, sound is the superior means. My enlightenment came through sound. It was in that way that I obtained the fruition of arhatship. So I think sound is the most important. It is the best method to use for cultivation. Sutra. Upanishad arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I also saw the Buddha when he first accomplished the way. I learned to contemplate the appearance of impurity until I grew to loathe it and came to understand that the nature of all form is unclean. Their bonds and subtle dust only turn to emptiness, and so both emptiness and form are done away with. With this realization, I accomplished the path beyond learning. Commentary. Upanishad's name means the emptiness of the nature of form, Se Xin Kong. He had always been blocked with strong sexual desire. Because of it, the Buddha taught him to cultivate the contemplation of impurity. This means that he observed how his own physical body, as well as everyone else, was unclean. This specific practice is called contemplating the nine aspects of impurity. 1. Contemplate swelling. After death, the body starts to swell up. 2. Contemplate the green mottled flesh. After the swelling, the body breaks out in green areas like big bruises. 3. Contemplate flesh broken open. After it turns green, it pops open. 4. Contemplate blood and filth. When it breaks open, the blood and other things flow out. 5. Contemplate pus and rot. The pus begins to ooze out of the body as it starts to rot. 6. Contemplate it being eaten by worms. Out of the pus and rot emerge worms which feast on the flesh. 7. Contemplate its scattering. The flesh begins to fall off. 8. Contemplate the bare bones. Once the flesh is gone, there are just the bones underneath. 9. Contemplate it being burned. It is burned by the fire and turns into ashes. The ashes drift into emptiness and turn into dust until at last there's nothing left. Upanishad was very attached to forms. He would take special notice of every woman he saw, to remark on how beautiful this one was, how exquisite that one was, and how attractive another was. He put all his efforts into this kind of thing. After he met the Buddha taught him to cultivate the contemplation of 9 aspects of purity. Upanishad arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I also saw the Buddha when he first accomplished the way. I learned to contemplate the appearance of purity until I grew to loathe it. I too was with the Buddha just after he accomplished the way, and the Buddha taught me to cultivate the contemplation of 9 aspects of impurity. From this, I realized that no matter how beautiful a person may be while alive, no matter how attractive or how exquisite she is, so that the more you think about her, the more enticing she becomes. Nevertheless, once she dies, she will swell up just as grossly as anyone else. She's get just as green and mottled, and her flesh will break open. Could you love her then? Then the blood and filth oozes out, and the corpse starts to stink. Dogs like it at this stage, but people stay far away from it. Then the pus and rot forms. Just thinking about it makes you want to vomit. It would be impossible to kiss her by this time. Then the worms grow, big ones and little ones. The flies and blue flies come in swarms. They draw near to her, and at that point, you wouldn't even get jealous. The flesh scatters, and the bare bones are all that remain. Then it's burned, and the entire thing disappears. Tell me, where has that beautiful person gone? Through this contemplation, he grew to loathe forms and came to understand that the nature of all form is unclean. He realized that no matter how beautiful the form was, its source was impure. The father's semen and the mother's blood is an unclean origin. Bare bones and subtle dust all return to emptiness. So both emptiness and form are done away with. With this realization, I accomplished the path beyond learning. That is the fourth version of Arhatship. Sutra, the third Kamwan certified me and named me Upanishad. The objective form came to an end, and wonderful form was both secret and all-pervasive. Thus, it was through the appearance of form that I became an arhat. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. As I have been certified to it, form is the superior means. Commentary. The first Kamwan certified me and named me Upanishad. The Buddha sealed and certified me and named me the emptiness of the nature of form. I saw through form. It was empty in its nature and just disappeared. And so I got rid of my attachment. The object of form came to an end, since my unclean form no longer existed. Wonderful form was both secret and all-pervasive. In true emptiness, it turned into subtle, wonderful form. It was through the appearance of form that I became an arhat, that I awakened to the way. I was one who used to be fond of sex, but I got beyond it. I transcended it. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. The Buddha wants to know which of the 18 realms is perfectly penetrating. As I have been certified to it, form is the superior means. I awakened to the way through the object of form. I saw through the object of form and was certified to the fruition. Sutra, the pure youth adorned with fragrance, arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I heard the first Kamwan teach me to contemplate attentively all conditioned appearances. Commentary. The pure youth adorned with fragrance was adorned with a fragrant light. Pure youth does not mean that he was a tried. A person so young he didn't understand anything at all. Pure youth means he entered the way as a virgin youth. He was a virgin when he left home. He never married. After Upanishad finished explaining his causes and conditions, the pure youth, adorned with fragrance, arose from his seat, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, I heard the first Kamwan teach me to contemplate attentively all conditioned appearances. The Buddha told me to look into all conditioned dharmas in minute detail. Sutra. After I heard the Buddha's instruction, I sat in repose in the quiet of a pure dwelling. When I saw the bhikshus light sinking incense, the fragrant scent quietly entered my nostrils. I contemplated this fragrance. It did not come from the wood, it did not come from emptiness, it did not come from the smoke, and it did not come from the fire. There was no place it came from and no place it went to. Because of this, my discriminating mind was dispelled, and I attained the absence of outflows. Commentary. After I heard the Buddha's instruction, I sat in repose in the quiet of a pure dwelling. The Buddha told me to look into conditioned appearances, and I went off to cultivate and develop my skill. A pure dwelling refers to a place where people are vegetarian and the environment is tranquil. He uses this expression to praise the Buddha. When I was in my pure dwelling cultivating, I saw the bhikshus light sinking incense. Sinking incense is called agaru in Sanskrit. This fragrant wood sinks when placed in water, and from this it takes its name. The fragrant scent quietly entered my nostrils. I contemplated this fragrance. It did not come from the wood, it did not come from emptiness. I contemplated the source of the fragrances. It was not the wood. If it came from the wood alone, there would be no need to burn it in order for it to emit fragrance. If it came from emptiness, it should be ever present. But it must be lit for the fragrance to rise. Before it is lit, there is no pervasive fragrance. The fragrance also does not come from the smoke, nor does it come from the fire. There was no place it came from, and no place it went to. Because of this, my discriminating mind was dispelled, and I attained the absence of outflows. Because I contemplated in this way, my mind subject to production and extinction disappeared. I was certified to the fruition of no outflows. Sutra. The first command certified me and called me adorned with fragrance. Defiling scent suddenly vanished, and wonderful fragrance was both sacred and all-pervasive. It was through the adornment of fragrance that I became an arhat. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. As I have been certified to it, the adornment of fragrance is the superior means. Commentary. The first command certified me and called me adorned with fragrance. Defiling scent suddenly vanished, and wonderful fragrance was both sacred and all-pervasive. It was through the adornment of fragrance that I became an arhat. The Buddha asks about perfect penetration. He wants to know which sense organ is perfectly penetrating. As I have been certified to it, reckoning it from my point of view, the adornment of fragrance is the superior means. Sutra. The two Dharma princes, physician king and superior physician, the 500 Brahma gods in the assembly arose from their seats and bowed at the Buddha's feet and said to the Buddha, "From beginningless compass until now, we have been good doctors for the world. In our mouths, we have tasted many herbs, wood, metals, and stones of the Saha world, 108,000 flavors. We know in detail the bitter, sour, salty, bland, sweet, and pungent flavors, and the like, in all their combinations and inherent changes. We have a thorough knowledge of whether they be cooling or warming, poisonous or non-poisonous." Commentary. The pure youth adorned with fragrance awaken to the way through the sense object of fragrance. Upanishad awaken to the way through the sense object of form. Kaundinya awaken to the way through the sense object of sound. These two bodhisattvas, physician king and superior physician, awaken to the way through the sense object of flavor. Physician king and superior physician bodhisattva were Brothers, in the past, physician King Bodhisattva made a vow to be a good doctor for the world, so that all who came to see him would be cured of their illness, no matter what the sickness was. He made this vow at the time of the Buddha called by Dura light before the Bhikshu Sun treasury. In those Dharma assembly was an elder named Constellation Light. His brother made a similar vow at the same time. Similarly, in China, there was Emperor Shennong who tested the 100 herbs and developed the science of herbal medicine. His stomach was like a glass, and he could see whether what he had eaten was poisonous or not. Unfortunately, people in modern China totally fail to comprehend such historical events as this. They say such things are merely legends, superstitions. Actually, this is a commonplace occurrence documented in Chinese medicinal texts. But modern Chinese students don't read the classics, and so they don't understand such things. Having read this text myself, I am convinced that Emperor Shennong was a reincarnation of physician King Bodhisattva, who came to China to have found the study of medicine there. The two Dharma princes, physician king and superior physician, and 500 Brahma gods in the assembly arose from their seats, and the Buddha is the Dharma king, so another name for Bodhisattva is Dharma prince. These two bodhisattvas and their retinue of 500 gods arose from their seats, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and said to the Buddha, "From beginningless compass until now, we have been good doctors for the world. For in our mouths we have tasted many herbs, wood, metals, and stones of the Saha world, 108,000 flavors." At that time in India, the nature of medicines was composed of these four elements: herbs, wood, metals, and stones. We know in detail the bitter, sour, salty, bland, sweet, and pungent flavors, and the like, in all their combinations and inherent changes. We know which medicines are compatible and which ones are not. Those which are compatible can cure illnesses when mixed in appropriate combinations. Those which are not compatible but are in opposition to one another can kill people if taken in combination. So it says in the Yao Xing Fu treatise on the nature of medicines. Of the basic herbs, there are 18 that act in opposition and 19 flavors: Fan Lo, Bei Lian, and Kung Wu. That refers to Fan Xia, Gua Luo, Bei Lian, and Wu Dou, which are in opposition to one another. Licorice roots do not combine with Kai Cao, Ba Qi, Gan Cui, or Lian Hua. Licorice root is described as a predominantly compatible herb in the treatise on the nature of medicines. It can act as a base for many combinations, but it is not compatible with Kai Cao, Ba Qi, Gan Cui, or Lian Hua. If someone takes it in combination with these, he might die. Li Ru and Xixing together will also kill if taken together. Xixing taken by itself causes headaches. We have a thorough knowledge of how these herbs are compatible or incompatible, and which ones have changes inherent in them, which will occur if they are used in combination with the wrong herbs, as well as whether they be cooling or warming, poisonous or non-poisonous. They can be cold, hot, neutral, or warm. Some people whose natures are cool to begin with can't take cooling medicines, and people with warm natures are unable to stand a warming medicine. The two bodhisattvas also knew how much poison was contained in any given herb. Sutra. While serving the first come one, we came to know that the nature of flavors is not empty and is not existent, nor is it the body or mind, nor is it apart from body and mind. We became enlightened by discriminating among flavors. Commentary. While serving the first one, we reverently paid homage and made offerings to the Buddha. We came to know that the nature of flavors is not empty and is not existent. Flavors don't come from emptiness, nor they come from existence, nor is it the body or mind, nor is it apart from body and mind. The nature of flavors does not arise from the tongue's tasting flavors, nor do flavors exist apart from the tongue's tasting them. We became enlightened by discriminating among flavors. We contemplated in minute detail the source of flavors and from this became enlightened. When we had made discriminations to the ultimate point, to the point where there could be no further discrimination, we became enlightened. We became aware that originally flavor is flavorless. Sutra, the first common sealed and certified us brothers and named us as Bodhisattvas, physician, king, and superior physician. Now in the assembly we are Dharma princes who have ascended to the Bodhisattva level because we became enlightened by means of flavors. Commentary. The first common sealed and certified us brothers and named us as Bodhisattvas, physician, king, and superior physician. The Buddha gave us Bodhisattvas these two names. Now, in the assembly, we are Dharma princes who have ascended to the Bodhisattva level because we became enlightened by means of flavors. We tasted flavors until we became enlightened and reached the level of a Bodhisattva. Sutra, the Buddha asks about perfect penetration, as we have been certified to eat the cause of flavors in the superior means. Commentary. Flavor is the best method. Flavors are the best for eating. They are the most flavorful and also the least flavorful. The least flavorful is the most supreme wonderful flavor, but you have to taste it for yourself to find out whether or not it is flavorful.